Welcome. Thank you very much for taking the time to visit my channel and watch this video. My name is Bear River and I am the astrologer and Reiki master of Psyche and Soul Astrology. It's my mission to provide clear, accessible astrological content to help you remain grounded in empowerment. Now, I believe that astrology gives us the power to experience better relationships, to untap our own personal wisdom, remain grounded in our strength no matter what comes up. Now, with these videos in this channel, it's my goal to give you a quick, no bullshit, and hopefully humorous take on what's coming up so that you can avoid the common pitfalls, avoid the unnecessary stress and suffering, and stay focused on your own personal mission. Now, this week I'll be breaking down and rapping about the upcoming lunar eclipse. That's a total eclipse and a full moon that's coming up, letting you know a little bit about the energy and the mood that's going to be coming up this next week, how you can stay above the fray, stay focused, stay on your own personal hustle for your highest good, your best advantage. Now, it's my goal with each and every one of these videos to give you some concrete, practical tips, tools, steps, a challenge or a question, something that you can really sink your teeth into as soon as the video's done so that you can really maximize the benefits that are being offered and provided by the universe. So this week we're talking about the full moon, which is going to be taking place Sunday the 20th here on the west coast of the US. If you're somewhere else in the world, plus or minus 12 hours or so, but it doesn't really matter exactly when. The way that the energy of the planets works is not super precise or exact. It's not like a scientific thing. It's more of an energetic collective consciousness vibe sort of situation. So if you're tapping in or tuning into the vibe, there's going to be some relief on the way, so you kind of rest easy. Know that the challenges that were presented with the new moon, and that was back on like January 6th or so, depending on where you are, that whatever came up, whatever situation arose or crisis maybe, there was probably a call for something to end. That wrapping up process is going to start to become a lot more clear, if it hasn't already, by this coming Sunday, the 20th. Now, there's a really interesting thing going on here because the endings that were called for were actually part of the beginning of a new cycle of eclipses that will be taking place either in the sign of Cancer or Capricorn, depending on where the moon and the sun are. And that cycle is going to be taking place over the course of the next 18 months. Now, the one that's coming up this Sunday that we're talking about right now is actually the final eclipse in a cycle of eclipses that were taking place in Leo and Aquarius for the last 18 months. Now, that's not all that unusual. If you've made it past your first Saturn return, so if you're in your 30s already, you know that oftentimes when life slams one door, a window opens, or when something along those lines, there's always a bit of something's got to go to make room for the new. Or if you've been getting your Marie Kondo on at home, you've been sparking joy, going through your stuff, purging things, thanking those items that are no longer sparking joy and removing them from your life, then you are tapping into this energy in a really big way. Now, there are a few different things here that I've noticed, and there's a lot that we could talk about. There'll be some upcoming blog posts. I'm going to rap a bit more about some of the mundane astrology, that's like the political stuff, with my upcoming official launch. That'll be 10 a.m. sharp on January 22nd. That's this coming Tuesday. I'm going to do a little live video, share with you an astro healing for everyone, whether you catch the live or you watch the replay later. That astro healing is a combination of astrology and Reiki, little guided meditation. So I hope you get the chance to join me then. Love sharing the astro healing work with the world, but that is a little bit later. What I really want to focus on for this time is that now is a time where the stakes are really high. I especially want to say that if there's a situation that seems that your inner response just doesn't equate, like you feel like you're that mouse making a mountain out of a molehill, like you're really not. That molehill really is a mountain. Now, particularly if the situation that arose for you is one that causes you to have to end a relationship or some sort of structure that's no longer serving you. It's especially important, and I just want to take this opportunity to validate that your concerns are real. It is legit to be concerned about whether or not respect, reciprocity, integrity are actually the foundations of the relationships that you're participating in. I'm going to say that again, one more time, a little bit more slowly. It is absolutely legit to be concerned about whether respect, integrity, and reciprocity are the foundation of the relationships that you are in. Now, this lunar eclipse, now think about this new moon, full moon, right? So when we have a new moon, it's dark. When we have a full moon, it's bright. Now you think I'm Captain Obvious right now, but I'm going somewhere with this. When we have a solar eclipse, that's a new moon. The moon is dark. There is definitely, like, people have been talking about portals opening up, and that's sort of true. We have this time where the way that we perceive things is totally different, and it stays that way for like 2 weeks. It's really intense. It feels like destiny and manifestation are on the line. Like the stakes are so much higher than the actual circumstances might belie. And that's what an eclipse portal is about. Particularly the eclipse that was on January 6th and this upcoming one. Now that January 6th eclipse was the new moon eclipse. This upcoming eclipse on the 20th is the full moon eclipse. So where we sowed the seed or where we asked the question, the results are in. We started the poll back on the 6th, and now we've got the results in. Now we know, am I going to stay? Am I going to go? If I'm going, where am I going? But more importantly, why am I going? Now, if you follow me on Instagram, that's at AstralIds. I'll put the information down below. If you follow me on Insta, then you've been getting questions that are tailored to really sinking into and working with the energy since that last eclipse. And you know that I've been talking a lot about the importance of clarifying values, making sure that you are on the same page, because we are in a time where we are ending previous cycles of karma, where we are choosing the new ones that we begin. Now, that I think is the real beauty of this time. In being asked, in being presented with a crisis that feels old, being presented with an old trauma, that's one that I know for myself came up. I was presented with a really benign situation, or a non-incident, if you want to call it that 100% triggered a full-blown panic attack, a full-blown like police trauma response, black man police trauma response. And I knew, because I knew what was going on with the astrology, that I was being presented with an old trauma, with a deep fear, that I'm not going to be supported in a real structural and meaningful way in the face of police trauma. This happened in the course of my work, and that made sense with my chart. This is why I recommend that you take the information that I'm talking about and that you dig into your own personal chart. So I'll make sure to put down the exact degrees below. I'll throw in some links for pulling up your chart for free, or feel free to ask me in the comments below. I'm happy to answer any questions you have about how to apply this information to your own chart so you can get specific with it. The best I can do is say that a traumatic, fear-inducing situation, or a situation that involved your own fear, is likely to have come up sometime between the 6th and now, and that you are being presented an opportunity by the universe to choose a new course of action. Now that's the real tricky part. Where we're coming to now is the lunar eclipse, the results part. So what happened 2 weeks ago, week and a half ago? What have you decided to do about that? Did you brush it under the rug? What have you been a stand for in the face of this crisis? Now, I've been talking a lot on the Insta and in social media in general about the importance of choosing the causes that we stand for. If you're a stand for your integrity, for your authenticity, then it doesn't really matter what the results are. You know your integrity is there. You know your authenticity is there. And you know that the results that are being presented to you, like if the world is a mirror, you're seeing what does it look like when I'm in integrity, when I'm authentic, when I speak up for my needs. I'm speaking about those things because the very Capricorn nature of this, and the closeness to Pluto and some other astrological stuff, really keys into some to some of America's chart. So you can actually have a chart for a country, a chart for a corporation. You can use astrology to describe the beginnings of a lot of different types of entities or structures. And when we look at the chart for the US, we actually see that America is having its kind of karmic reckoning moment. And that parallels, I think, for a lot of us, our own personal karma reckoning moment. We're being presented and challenged to identify what we're a stand for, and if we still are a stand for it. Are we really backing the institutions that are claiming to have our support? Those are some of the kind of bigger ramifications or significations of the astrology right now, whereas down on the personal level, it could be a really simple little action like, no, I'm not going to stand for being spoken to that way anymore, or no, I'm not going to eat this junk food because it actually makes me feel shitty about the way I treat myself. And on down the list, looking at where 0 degrees of Leo and Aquarius falls in your chart, and really the territory between 15 degrees of Capricorn and Cancer, all the way to 0 degrees, I think I'm doing that in the right direction, all the way to 0 degrees of Leo and Aquarius, or maybe it's this way, from here to here. But we're looking at this slice in the sky that's about 15 degrees. When I say sky, I mean astrological chart. We're looking at this slice in your astrological chart that is going from 15 degrees of Capricorn Cancer to 0 degrees and 51 minutes of Leo and Aquarius. The house that area falls within, or the houses that those areas fall within, are going to tell you a lot about the personal context for you specifically. So if that falls into your 1st house and 7th house area, it's going to be about yourself and your relationships with others. If that falls in your 2nd and 8th house, it's going to be more about values and resources, both your own and the ones that you share with others. 3rd house, 9th house, that means it's going to be more about your learning, your intellectual development, gathering bits of information, or travel. On and on down the list. Like I said, please feel free to ask me questions if you want to know more about how this relates to your own personal chart. Now, I want to try to keep these videos under 20 minutes, so I'm going to wrap it up. What you really want to look at is what came up for you starting back in August of 2017. If you were here in the States, what was going on when that big eclipse started popping off? And what happened between then, January 6th. Everything that happened between August of 2017, all of the different threads and stories, like think about your life like it's an actual novel. Which different chapters opened up and ended? Which characters appeared in your life? What roles were they playing in your life at that time? And how has that all played out up until now? We are at a really big turning point. Kind of the eclipse portal is closing, y'all. So if there is something different that you want to do, a new choice you want to make, a new cause you want to stand for, a different way that you want to hold the view of yourself or others in the world, now is the time to choose that new way of being. To really look at, is my expression and the way that I stand in the world, the way that I'm interacting with others in the world, is that actually reflective of what I believe in and what I'm willing to stake my karma or my integrity or my identity on? What am I willing to make the actual foundation of who I am and what I do in the world? So that's a little big, and it might be hard to parse out until you start to do that bit of looking deeper into your chart, but that's why the stakes feel so high, even in the face of these seemingly tiny, inconsequential moments. Now, I said that I would leave this video at the end with 3 practical tips, how-tos, challenge, what you're going to do here. So, your challenge, this is up until the eclipse on Sunday the 20th. If you're watching this video after the 20th, you can still do this challenge. Your challenge is to write down your own cliff notes. What was the story of your life from last August until this January, from August of 2017, until this January? So the last 18 months, what's been going down? What did you start? What are you committed to? Is there something that ended and you're so thankful for it? Is there something that you've started and it never would have happened any other way? I want you to spend at least 10 minutes Like, get the kitchen timer, set the timer on the microwave, whatever you got to do. You can Google timer. There's a bunch of them. Set yourself up a timer and spend 10 minutes. Eyes closed, eyes open, doesn't matter. Just make sure that it's 10 minutes and really focus on what it feels like to have lived that story, to be on the other side of it. Now, that's step one. That's your challenge. Challenge of the week. And really it'll be a challenge of the 2 weeks, because that challenge is going to stand until we approach this next new moon. Your question is this. If you feel like it, if you want to share your answer in the comments below, please do. If you want to send that to me, I'll include some more contact information down below. You can send that to me privately. You can send that to me on Instagram. I love hearing from you all. So please do. This is your question. What does it mean to choose my own adventure? I want you to really sink into that. Feel into the choose part. Feel into the adventure part. There's a lot of other astrology stuff. I think I'll give that to you at the end in a little kind of bullets notes if you want to look into the other planets and aspects that are coloring this full moon lunar eclipse report for you. So your challenge is to spend 10 minutes really, really feeling into the story of your life the last 18 months. What started back in August of 2017? Where has that brought you today? Where are you today? And then really just feel into what does it feel like to be someone with that history, with that story, with the scars that you earned if there were some battles there, with the new people in your life, if folks have joined you on your mission. And then ask yourself, what does it mean to choose your own adventure? Really feel into it. The next 18 months are about feels, like it or not, whether you like, I'm a tough man and I don't have emotions, or whether you're somebody who's been told your whole life that you're too sensitive. Now is your time to really get right with how you understand your own emotions and what you do about it. Now, the third thing that I'm going to leave you with is this. Ask for help. Whether it's a poll of your friends, whether it's throwing something on Facebook or Reddit or Quora or whatever other social media you're involved in, whether you ask your mama, whether you ask somebody else in your family, whether you just ask strangers on the street. Ask for help. We're starting a whole new, every single one of us is starting a whole new chapter in our lives, this whole new 18-month period that just got started 2 weeks ago, back on January 6th. There's this whole new thing we're doing, and it has a lot to do with taking what we learned about ourselves and who we want to be in the world, back with that Leo Aquarius stuff, and putting that into real tangible action. Practically speaking, what do you do? What are you going to create with that? Because that's going to be something that's real. And who's your tribe? Who's your tribe and what structure are you creating for them? If you're on some magic and manifestation shit, what kind of structure do you have in place to actually receive the blessings that you're asking the universe to bestow upon you? Now's the time to get really, really clear about that and ask for help. They say Rome wasn't built in a day, and that's definitely true. Rome also wasn't built by one dude, or one lady for that matter, or even one god. I think a lot about, there's some Norse mythology where it turns out you need a giant to help the gods, because it's actually really hard to build something lasting. Particularly something that can stand the test of time and protect you, provide sanctuary and refuge and safety and structure to you and your own. So that's it. That's my quick-ish take and my no bullshit take on what's going on. I will be talking to you more about the politics, what's going on with America, how all these eclipses play out, because we definitely have a wild ride in store for us with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez among a whole crew of women of color who are going in there and keeping it 100 on the floor of Congress. We've also got a whole change of outer planet configurations coming up. I expect to see a lot of really tangible changes as Uranus, the planet of revolution, makes its way back into Taurus, the sign that represents the Earth. Now, the other astrology things you might want to look into 13 degrees of the cardinal signs. Those are going to be Aries, Cancer, Libra, Capricorn. Especially look at 13 degrees of Capricorn and Aries. That's where Saturn and Mars are squaring off. Also be sure to take a look at mid degrees of Sagittarius. We have a Venus-Jupiter conjunction coming up in that sign. I'll talk to you more about that in a different video, of course. The last thing that you might want to take a look at if you are doing your own astrological work or learning, or you want to just ask a little more detailed question about your own personal chart, is to see what is going on right on the threshold of Aries and Taurus. So between 28 degrees of Aries and about 3 or 4 degrees of Taurus, in that vicinity, there's been some stuff that has been going on for you in terms of big change and how you bring awakening into your life. That is it for this video and for right now. Thank you again so much for taking the time and the opportunity to watch this video to stay to the end. If you have not already, please do click that subscribe button, ring that notification bell so that you can get these videos as soon as they become available. Thank you again so much for your time. Until we meet again, many blessings to you.